My name is Franciscah Marabu. I work for National Taxpayers Association. And my role today, this morning, is to take you through the findings of the analysis that we did for the Auditor-General's Executive Budget Report. And I would want to say that this analysis, we didn't do it as NTA as alone, but it was citizen-led analysis that we invited all the citizens, but it was done at the national level, but members of the public could go to their respective counties to analyze the reports for their respective counties. So it is what we have put together, and this is what we have today, and we want to share the findings with you. So what I'm going to present today is the summary of the findings, but we have a general report that we have analyzed for all the 47 counties. And at the end of it all, you get a copy, and if you will not be able to get a copy, then you can get it from our website. So this is like in an IEC format, but we have a whole huge report that brought out the issues that are highlighted in the Auditor-General's report. So when we talk about the analysis, there was a formula or there was a criteria that we used to analyze the report. And one of the key things that we were looking into are the opinions that the Auditor General was able to give to the different counties. So we had 4 opinions, and before that I would like to say that we analyzed 46 counties, because one county, which is Taita-Taveta, the report had not been published on the website, so we didn't get any information about Taita-Taveta. So we analyzed 46 counties. And out of these 46 counties, there were opinions for the different or for the respective counties. One of the opinions, if I may say, was a qualified opinion, which according to Auditor General, when we talk about qualified opinion, is a report that is kind of good, that assessment that would have been considered clean, but for a few audit queries. And in that, we found that 22 counties were under this particular opinion of qualified. And then we had the second opinion, which is adverse, which is kind of bad. So there was pervasive or systematic problems, which were of high concern. And out of the 46 counties, 12 counties fell under this particular opinion. And then we had disclaimer, which is really bad, that there was shoddy record keeping. The Auditor General was unable to make a review and form an opinion, and we found that 12 counties fell under this particular opinion. And then we had no report, that is what I've just talked about, that Taita-Taveta. There was no report, and therefore no opinion was given by the All Ages Office. And then summary of the indicators. We had 5 indicators that we were looking into. And the first one was domestic and foreign travel. So we were comparing the domestic travel and versus the foreign travels done by the county governments, and therefore come up with a figure, a total figure that was spent for foreign and a total figure that was spent on domestic travels, and also those which had unsupported documents for these travels and those that had supported documents for these particular travels. So in the course of my presentation, I'll be able to show you that. And we have ranked the top 5 counties that spent a lot on domestic and on foreign travels. The other parameter that we were looking into was counties' own source revenue. We all know that counties are supposed to raise their own revenue from the different revenue streams. There's licenses, the property rates, and all that. So when it comes to counties' own revenue, what we were looking at are 2 key things. One of the key things that we are looking at is the amount that counties were able to raise in a financial year under review, that was 2016-2017, and what they were able to raise in the previous year, that is 2015-2016, and what was the variance. If we got a positive variance for that, then it shows that the county governments were able to raise more in that particular year that was under review, that is 16-17. And if we get a positive a positive figure, then it shows that there was decline in collection of revenue from that particular county. And therefore, another thing that we are looking at when it comes to counties on source revenue, we wanted to know the amount of revenue that was banked and the amount of revenue that was used at source. So that was another key indicator that we are looking when we are analyzing the county's on source revenue. And then the other indicator that we're looking at, the third one, is the audit committees, or internal audit controls. We know the PFM Act has stipulated that the county government should have an audit committee or an internal audit control. So for this key particular parameter, for this key indicator, we wanted to establish how many counties have established audit committees and how many counties have not established the internal audit controls. And therefore, we'll be able to know how many counties have been able to establish and how many counties have not been able to establish the audit committees based on the OAG report. And then the fourth one was on pending bills. When we talk about the pending bills, we know this is the amount that the county government have not paid to the respective suppliers or contractors. So we wanted to know what is the total amount of money that is pending that has not been paid, or there's or uncompleted payments for the delivery of goods and services. So we can see from the, when you look at the OAG report, you can see that there was even pending bills from previous year up to 14-15. So you wonder why these suppliers have not been paid up to this particular period of time when the audit was being undertaken. So somebody might say that it's now becoming tricky maybe to work with the county governments because you don't know when will you be paid for these particular services or goods that you supplied to the county government. So, and you'd also want to establish these pending bills, if they have supporting documents to show really that these are pending bills, or it's just something was cooking around that. So that is another thing that we looked into. And then there was fixed asset registers. All county governments must have an updated fixed asset registers. So we wanted to establish how many counties have an accurate and updated fixed asset registers. So these are the 5 key parameters that we were looking into, or that we were using to analyze the OAG report. So I will start with the first one, which is domestic versus foreign travel analysis. And when you look at the figure on total domestic travel expenditure, this is for the 46 counties. They were able to spend 4.90 billion on total domestic travel. And then on foreign travel expenditure for all the 46 counties that we analyzed, they were able to use 458.9 million on total foreign travel expenditure. And out of the 4.90 that was paid on domestic travel expenditure, 43%, which translates to 2.09 billion, was unsupported. I mean, it did not have documents to show that there was these domestic travels happening. So 43% of the 4.90 on domestic travel expenditure had unsupported. It was unsupported or did not have documents to show or to indicate that there was these domestic travels. And then for foreign travels, out of the 458.9 million, 15% of these did not have documents to indicate or to show that these foreign travels happened, which translates to around 68.0 million. So that is all about domestic versus foreign travels, total expenditure spent by the 46 counties. And then when it comes to unsupported foreign travel analysis, the top 5 counties, the first county that did not have documents to indicate that there was indeed foreign travels, that was Bomet County. You can see there at 87.6%. And the same county had a disclaimer opinion based on the OAG report. And then the second county that had the most travels with unsupported foreign travel documents was West Pokot County with 57.4%. And the same county had a disclaimer of opinion based on the OEG's report. And then the third one was Tarakaniki with 55.4%. And then Meru with 43.4%, which had a qualified opinion. And then Kisumu had 30.9% with an adverse opinion. So those are the 5 top counties, but when you get the reports, or when you get to see the reports on our websites, you'll be able to see for all the 46 counties that we analyzed. And then on domestic travel analysis, that is the highest versus the lowest. I mean, this shows a county that had the most travel, domestic travels, and that is Tarakaniti, with the county spending 540.9 million. And then we have the Bomet, in as much as it had the most county with unsupported documents, but for foreign travels, but in domestic travel, it had the least domestic expenditure. So for them, I think they love going out of the country more than than being around. So they spent 11.03 million on domestic travels. And then counties that do not have unsupported domestic travel documents, or they were not able to support their domestic travel with documents, the county that was leading was Lamu, 100%, they didn't have documents. And then we have Tana River with 93.0, and then we have Kisumu, 25.5%. Then we have Turkana with 22.7%, and Tarakaniti with 18.9%. And then on pending bills, as I said, it is not more exciting to say that you have gotten a contract with the county government because you don't know when you'll be paid. And some people have really suffered because of this. People even have gone further to sell their properties in order to pay maybe the loans that they took for them to be able to deliver services or goods to the county government. So out of the 46 counties that we analyzed, the total pending bills for these counties was 134.9 billion total pending bills for all the 46 counties. 134.9 billion total pending bills. And this was not only for 2015-2016, but it was also from the previous years. And then out of the 134.9 billion, we had 10.8% with unsupported pending bills. I mean, there were no documents to indicate that really this is what the county government is being ordered, or that this is unpaid bills with these supporting documents, which translates to around 14.6 billion of that 134.9 million. So the top counties, the top 5 counties that had the highest pending bills, we start with Nairobi County, that has 1.01 billion pending bills. Then we have Mombasa, our second largest city, with 4.6 billion. And then we have Machakos with 2.8. And then we have Nakuru with 2.1. And then Mandera with 1.8. So you can see that our 3 cities are there, Nairobi, Nakuru, and Mombasa, with the topmost pending bills. And then when you come to all source revenue, summary of all source revenue, this is the amount that, or funds that are raised by the county governments. And I had said earlier we were looking into 2 main issues. The total amount raised in that particular year under review, that was 16-17, and what was raised previously, that is 15-16, and the variance between the two. And then the other thing that we wanted to establish is how much of these funds that are collected by the county governments, how much was banked and how much was used at all source, because that is a very big problem. And it is said, the PFM Act says that before even the county governments use the money at all source, then they have to seek permission from the control of budget. But you find some counties are using the money at all source, yet they are supposed to bank with money, then it is budgeted for, and therefore be able to use after that. So all source revenue top counties, we have Nairobi definitely, because it's a city, and they were able to raise 10.9 billion, followed by Narok with 7.5, followed by Mombasa with 3.1 billion, and then Kiambu 2.0, then Nakuru 1.9. So the total on-source revenue for financial year for all the 46 counties was 37.1 billion. But I know they are still performing below average, because according to National Treasury, the counties have the potential to collect more than this. And therefore, the county government should be able to look at what is making them not be able to collect as much as they are supposed to collect. And then we have, for financial year 15-16, which was the previous year, the county was able to collect that 1.0 billion. So there was an increment from the financial year 15-16, because if you look at 16-17, it was 37.1 billion, and for 15-16, it was 31.0 billion, which shows there was an increment. Other analysis that we are able to look into was fixed asset registers. As I said, that each and every county should have an updated fixed asset register. So out of the 46 counties, 13% of those counties had inaccurate fixed asset registers. And then we had 11% with incomplete fixed asset registers, as in when you verify whatever it is there and whatever it is on the records, it is not in tandem. And then we have 39%, which was not highlighted whether they have or they don't have, and 37%, which was they just highlighted from the OAG's report. And then for the audit committees, 37% out of the 46 counties, 37% have been able to establish audit committees for internal audit controls. And then 7% have not established, and 56% it was not mentioned whether they have established or they have not established. And then we might be blaming maybe the county governments, but let's hear what they were able to say or what they were able to tell the Auditor-General based on the several queries that were raised. And one thing that the accounting officers were able to point out was that one of the major challenges was in regards to interest, because the staff do not surrender their interest on the stipulated time. And it should be 7 days. So when that particular staff does not submit his or her interest, then it becomes difficult maybe for the accounting officer to be able to put everything in place, so that when the OAG reaches there, it has everything in place. And then also on the local revenue, also revenue, there was poor local revenue forecast and limited revenue streams leading to under-collection of revenue, which most counties fail to attain their projected revenue targets. So sometimes you find that the county government has put a very high target that they'll be able to collect this amount of money, but when it comes to the next financial year, when you see what they've been able to collect and what they were able to say that they'll be able to collect, it is very much a difference. So I think county government should be realistic and set a target that they think that they will be able to collect. And also maybe correct some of the loopholes that they are not able to collect, some of this that is making them not able to collect these particular revenues. And then others pointed out on the challenges with the infinis as a result of downtimes and poor internet connectivity. And then also others pointed out on the untimely disbursement of funds from the National Treasury, which resulted in major delays for capital projects. And others talked of lengthy procurement processes which delayed project implementation. Because when you look at the OAG report, you will find that some projects have really delayed. Projects as far as 14-15, projects as far as 15-16 have not been completed. So others say there was lengthy procurement processes and thus led to delay in project implementation. So some of the recommendations that we were able to come up with for all this analysis is that the county government should be able to adhere to Section 107 2B of the Public Finance Management Act, that counties should be able to spend 70% on recurrent and 30% on development, as if they should be able to stick at least to that. Because we find from the report that other counties went even as far as spending over these 70% on recurrent expenditure. And then all withdrawals from the county collection account should be done with authority from the control of budget. So there should be no excuse counties to collect revenue and use it as own source. So they should adhere to that, and then all payments should be made through infinis, and there should not be variance between infinis and the bank accounts, as pointed out by the OAG. That is according to Section 93 of the PFM Act. And then there should be use of proper documentation and reporting standards recommended by public sector accounting boards as required in the Public Finance Management Act. And all counties should therefore have an updated fixed asset register so that we get to know what these counties have. So they should have an updated fixed asset register. And all counties should have an audit committee. There's no reason, there's no excuse why they should not have an audit committee or internal audit control. So they should be ones so that to oversee governance and promote transparency as provided in Section 155 of the PFM Act. And then counties must establish staff recruitment and casual employees engagement policy to get its human resource management. My colleague Irene had mentioned that the counties are spending a lot of money on paying on wages, paying casuals and all that. So they should be the counties must establish a staff recruitment and casual employees engagement policy so that it can guide in such issues, so that we don't have a lot of money going into wages and salaries. And then public investment management guidelines should guide project implementation at the county level. So these are just some of the recommendations that we're able to come up with. Well, when you look at our report, there are a number of them that counties should be able to adhere to or be able to pick up.